No, he gave me the points of the question, right? Okay. 2 points, and all these questions were asked to him by other Christians. Yes, and Hadhrat knows that Lebanon, most are Christians. Yes. He says, who are the promised Messiah is called Messiah, and where is Mary, his mother? The Christian Messiah, his mother is Mary, and why he didn't come to the Christians and to the Jewish who are waiting for him? Why did he came among the Muslims and to the Muslims?
It's very interesting.
Yes, and what is the resemblance between him and the original Messiah?
Okay, we'll come to this question after you have translated it in the same order in Arabic, and then inshallah we'll take it up one after the other, point by point. Now the question is generally asked or addressed to him by the Christians. That background should be kept in mind. They believe that Jesus Christ was born out of Mary but was literally Son of God. And as such, they believe he ultimately departed this earth and ascended to heaven. As against that, the Ahmadiyya belief is that he was an ordinary human being, ordinary in the sense of commonality. All beings are basically common, not in the sense of other ordinary meanings, other beings of the ordinary. He was one of the human beings. We had absolutely no character of God as distinct from human being. This is the Ahmadiyya rule. He was born out of Mary, all right. The only thing we agree with is that he was not born according to the ordinary custom, but his birth was exceptional to it in the meaning that he was born of a single parent, not of two parents. Now this is another discussion of whether it can or not. I believe not, it can happen, but rarely so. So we can only believe in such occurrence if God gives clear witness that in this lady's case she was pure and it was a single parent birth. Otherwise, other such ladies might have appeared in history, but nobody would believe them. So the human history doesn't record any other case of a single parent birth, because such cases, even if they occur today, nobody is going to believe. That is the main problem. But because God has told us to believe. Now this is the background of Muslim belief as against the Christian belief. And he should inform them clearly of what we hold as to be the reality and what they hold to be the reality. Now we come to the question itself. Again, this is witnessed by scientists in other animals and also among plants. Single parent birth is possible scientifically in some cases. But let's not discuss that. I'm just telling you that it is miraculous in the sense that God controlled it and especially made Mary bear child without meeting any man, and then gave witness himself. It was such an important deviation from the normal practices that if God had not bore witness, nobody would accept it. This is as it stands. Now I turn to the question of Hadhrat Jesus Christ. What happened to him? Did he go to heaven? Or first of all, his status. He asked me, according to the Christian question, the old prophet you believe, about old Jesus you believe him to be a prophet of God. What would be the status of the man you call is Jesus in spirit and character? That is Mirza Anti-qadiani. The answer to this question is already given by the Holy Founder of Islam himself, who in Hadith al-Muslim, describing the re-advent of Jesus, son of Mary, says when he comes, he will be prophet of God, prophet of God. 4 times in Hadith al-Muslim, the Messiah to come is referred to as prophet of God. So that issue is no longer any issue to be debated, because we believe in what Rasulullah had predicted, and he is a prophet of God. Otherwise, he is not a Messiah. Rasulullah has bound these 2 things together inseparably. If anyone claims to be a Messiah and says, I am not a prophet of God, he must be a liar. Because Rasulullah has spoken truth. And he says, the Messiah which I am promising you would certainly be a prophet. So this is our position. And he is not talking of the past Messiah in this case. He is talking of the one who would come, who would do this, Nabiullah would do this, Nabiullah would do that. He is talking of the future Messiah, not of the past. And he will do this, he relates, he will do this task and then do this and do that. And every time he mentions it, we say Nabiullah, Summa Nabiullah will do that, Summa Nabiullah will do that. Okay, yes. Next part of the question.
Yes.
Why did he come among the Muslims?
Yes.
Correct? Now this is a very interesting thing. Again, we must refer to Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because it is something which he told us, that he would come among Muslims. So there is no way out for a Muslim but to believe in that he would come among Muslims this time. Are awaiting Jesus Christ not as a human being, as a prophet of God. They are awaiting him to visit them as a son of God, which is a mythical thing which has no existence. So God in his wisdom has not raised them among a people who will fail to recognize him. If Jesus was born among the Christians who are awaiting him to revisit them in heavenly glory and descending like Son of God, because he was not that, because he could not come as Son of God, so his coming into a Christian world, into the Christian world, would be a complete fiasco and failure. Nobody would accept him. Many people try to become Jesus. Nobody believes in them. They say, no, you are not Son of God. We are waiting for a Son of God. So what will be the purpose of that stupid exercise where nobody is going to accept him? So where he belonged, God sent him there, the religion of unity. And he belonged there particularly for another reason, which I'll explain after this translation. Descending from heaven bodily, but as a God, with all the glory. This is their expectation. And because this is not right, this is not real. So if God sent him as an ordinary person, as a prophet, they'll reject him. No, you're not the man we are waiting for. Why among the Muslims? Why not among the Jews? That is the question. The reason, the answers are many. I'll particularly bring forth, present to you 2 important answers. Number 1, after Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had come, the Jewish religion was finished as a valid currency. It had already been buried in the past. In fact, after they rejected Jesus Christ, it was no longer valid as a living religion in which God would ever raise a prophet. So you can see the history of Judaism. After Messiah, no prophet has ever come among them. While prior to Messiah, there were, the series, a procession of prophets, coming everywhere. You turn a corner and there is a Jewish prophet. Why sudden change? Why this total, absolute vanishing of prophets from among them, absence of promise? The obvious reason is, once they have rejected the most important prophet which was promised to them, this is Messiah, God wiped them off, rolled them back into the sheets of history. So what was the purpose of sending a Messiah to them? And again, the Messiah they are expecting, like Christians are expecting a Messiah of different form, they are also expecting a Messiah of different form. You know, they say the Messiah would come to deliver them from the yoke of the Roman Empire. But history has changed. Where is that Roman Empire? Where is that yoke? So a Messiah who comes and says, all right, I have come to deliver you from the yoke of Rome, they would laugh at him as a madman, you know, leave him alone. There is no room whatsoever for Messiah to appear among the Jewish people anymore.
With permission of Hadhrat, do they not ask themselves why before the Messiah there were hundreds of prophets, after the Messiah there is not even one prophet?
I'll come to that later on. If somebody says, I have come to deliver you from the Romans, they will say, you madman, go to the you know, what is madman's people, you know, but
no.
The house of where they keep the madmen.
Maristan in Arabic.
Mental hospital, or there is another word in there? No. Another reason why Islam. A prophet of God must come in a live religion. He's to perform something in future. So why should he attach himself, or God should relegate him to the past things when he is coming to perform a purpose for the future of mankind? So he must appear in a living religion. That's the only way where how the prophecy of Jesus could be fulfilled for his re-advent. The only open road was Islam. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-islam deena. That's a declaration. So this is the only road available, only highway where a prophet could land if he was to come from anywhere, or where a prophet was to be born, as we believe. Another very important reason why he was sent in Islam was that not only Jesus Christ had promised his re-advent, but with reference to the present age, we call latter days, many other prophets of God had promised a revisitation to the earth. Like Krishna, like Buddha, many other prophets spoke of their coming again. So this is the important issue we are facing today. It's not just a question of Jesus. Why should he have come to Islam? It's a question also of Krishna. Will he not come? Or if he was also a true prophet of God, where would he come? Among Hinduism? Of course not. Because if Krishna comes among Hinduism, the Buddha comes among Buddhists, a fight will ensue among prophets of God calling to various paths and different opposing paths. It's unbelievable. The important thing is, whoever comes in whatever name, he comes from God. And whoever comes from God does not come to create greater rifts, but to bring back to the unity. So it has to be one single person under different titles. That is the reason why not only Messiah, but all other promised reformers must have been born in the Ummah of Hadhrat Muhammad Rasulullah. Because if they were brought back from the past, they were not born in the Ummah under the title, then God would have to weld them together and put them into a melting pot and make a new man out of. Like the Kuffar Makkah, the Quraysh, they used to object against the concept of oneness of God. They say, it has Prophet Muhammad put them together and molded them together into one ilah. So that would happen to all the prophets who would come differently, from different backgrounds and different history, parts of history. This is not conceivable. This is all absurd. So he had to come, Jesus, not only Jesus, whoever was to come, he was to come bearing the title of Jesus, the title of Zoroaster, the title of Zarathustra as we call it, The title of Buddha, the title of Krishna, and the title of all other prophets who have promised to come. Under Hadhrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu. Because after him, no new law could be sent. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum. No new law could be brought. So, whoever was to come, number one, it was a must for him to be born in the Ummah of Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam, to be given the title of all those prophets which were promised to mankind variously. And number three, this is very important, to fulfill the prophecy of the Holy Quran, وَإِذَا الرُّسُلُ أُقِّتَتْ. A time would come when the prophets will be re-raised, not separately, under Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam. To prove what? To prove that when the Holy Quran claims that he is Khatamun Nabiyyin, he is the supreme among the prophets, a proof will appear in the world where the representation of every prophet would take pride in being his servant, not superior to him in the form of son of God. So this grand scheme of Allah does away with all the possible problems which confront us if we understand the prophecy literally as other people do. So the Iza Rasul Uqatat, the prophecy has been fulfilled in one man who claims to be Krishna, who claims to be Messiah, who claims to be Zatash, and says, I am all that, but a humble servant of Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the grand and everlasting master of religion. What a beautiful scheme, understandable. So Jesus had to be a part, particularly because in the latter days Jesus was told by a large number of people to be superior to Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam, being the Son of God. So if real Jesus comes in the form of somebody born in the Ummah and says, Son of God? What do you mean? By God, I am a human being and a servant of Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam. And then if the similarities between him and Jesus Christ prove the point that he is really the representation of Jesus Christ, then it's folded and finished. Right? And another part of the question left, or have we covered this?
Yes, what is the points of the similarity? Yes.
The similarities are very, very obvious and pronounced, evident. Number one, the Holy Quran speaks very clearly of similarities between Hazrat Moses and Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the Bible also speaks of similarity between Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam and Moses, where the Bible says in Istisna, that is Deuteronomy, it says that I will raise a prophet from among thy brothers like unto yourself. This was a promise made to Moses by Allah, mentioned in the Torah. And the Holy Quran speaks as if in answer to this, Kama arsalna ila fir'auna rasula. Now we have fulfilled the promise. We have sent thee, O Muhammad, like we sent Moses before to Pharaoh. And so the similarity is complete. A promise is made, fulfillment of promise is pronounced by the Holy Prophet as Allah commanded him. But both brought a new law. And this was also prophesied, that Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam would bring a fiery law, a powerful Sharia. And Moses also brought a new law. So the second similarity, the people of Moses became hard-hearted in the end of the time of the Ummah. and became superficial in their attitude to religion. They had, large beards and shaven heads and long robes, and mentioned God and went to the synagogues and spent their lifetime in study of Bible. But in their heart they were completely empty of truth and fear of Allah. So like walking zombies, like the dead bodies, walking like live bodies but not live. Mechanical form of existence is what is mentioned here. The similarity between, I'll come to the similarity. This was to happen to these people of Moses. The Holy Quran speaks of this, ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ. We forgave you this time, that time, that time, that time. But you wouldn't reform. You continue to get hardened into things like stone. Now this is what we know from the Quran, what happened to the people of Moses. Let us hear from Hadhrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam what would happen to his ummah later on. He says they would become like Jews, like a part of the shoe resembles the other part of the same pair. The mushabihat, the similarity, would be so complete that whatever crimes the Jews would have committed earlier, had committed earlier, the same crimes would be committed in my ummah. He's speaking of the similarities between the ummah as well, like he was similar to Moses. So similar things were to happen to his ummah. So much so that he says that the Jewish people earlier got divided into 72 sects. So will my people be divided into 72 sects. But the 72 sects also had a message of hope when Jesus came. And he created the 73rd Jama'ah. So also Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah tells his ummah, when these 72 sects have appeared, people, the world of Islam has got divided, then a 73rd Jama'ah would appear. If the similarity between Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah and Hazrat Musa is complete to this degree, why shouldn't a Messiah come in this? Because the recipe for treatment of the Jewish people as described in the Quran was Messiahhood. It was not an ordinary prophet. A different phenomenon, similar to prophethood, but also distinct in its own nature. Masihiyat was the answer to the hard-heartedness of the Jewish people. So if the Muslims would also become like that, and they must become, because Asdaqus Sadiqeen Rasulullah has himself foretold us, has foretold about this. What should be the answer? The same, if there is a similarity. Like God treated the diseased ummah of Hazrat Moses, so if this ummah was to be diseased as prophesied by Muhammad Rasulullah, the same recipe was to be tried, and successfully. And this is exactly what Rasulullah himself has prophesied. Now you understand the meaning of the prophecy about the Messiah to come. Among these people, a Messiah was destined to come, to cure them, and to bring them to new life. And the same thing, the same treatment was to be meted out to him as was meted out to the Messiah of the earlier period by the Jews of the early period. But let's first finish the translation. Not kullaha, he would take people from among them and make a united community himself. He would take some from this sect, some from sixth sect. People will join him from all different sects, and then a new ummah would be born of Muhammad Rasulullah, which would be on the right path. Now Rasulullah has further explained the situation of what was to happen, what would happen to the ummah. And he says, Sayati ala nas zamanun la yabqa min al-Quran illa ismuhu, la yabqa min al-Islam illa ismuhu, wa la yabqa min al-Quran illa rasmuhu. Masajiduhum amiratum wa hiya kharabun min al-huda. Amiratum wa kharabun min al-huda. And then he says, ulama'uhum sharru man tahta adimi sama. And then he says, minhum tukhrijul fitna. Tukhrijul min indihim takhrujul fitna wa fihim ta'ud. He says it, unfortunately, it is implied. A very tragic time is to come when Islam will be left only in name. Quran will be left only for writing, beautiful writings in gold, silver, this and that. And masajid would be maybe apparently to look at, would be filled with people, no harm. But kharabun min rida, empty of guidance and truth, no guidance of God. What sort of ulama would there be at that time? Could they do something for the ummah? The answer is no. Ulamahum sharru man tahta adimi sama. What could they do for the ummah? Minhum takhrujul, min indihim takhrujul fitnatu wa fihim ta'ud. All problems and chaos and, bad thing for the ummah would emerge from them. They would lead the ummah to one destruction and then another. And ultimately they will swallow these things back. Now, the question is, will Masih come before this or after this? If he is to come before this, then will he come to do all these bad things? He must come after this has happened. The question is, has it happened or not? Look at the state of Islam. How divided the ulama, how vicious they have become in their attitude in, agitating Muslims to fight against other Muslims. All the jihad that means to them is to call this firqa is wrong, that firqa is wrong. The Sunnis should attack Shias, the Shias should do away with them. Wahhabis should kill the Brelvis and Brelvis should kill the Wahhabis. So go on, fight among yourselves. If God gives you Palestine at last, tell them that no, this leader is not a true Muslim. Let us fight among ourselves. The time to fight the Jews is over. Now is the opportunity, with the grace of Allah, to fight among ourselves. Is this Islam? Has it not happened? Let us say, they say, no, we are the pious ulama and the bad ones are to come. If this is the face of pious ulama, what would be the face of the bad ones to come? Imagine. Unbelievable. Has not enough happened to Islam? Where do they hold an honorable position in the comity of nations in the world? Where they can take their rights if somebody tries to usurp them with force and power. They have fallen into such a state that every Tom, Dick or Harry of the non-Muslim world can commit cruelties of the worst type against the world of Islam, and they can't answer it. And yet they say that prophecy has not got fulfilled. The much worse days are yet to come. We are living in the time of ulama Solaha. Allah bless you.
Yes.
Now this was the similarity between the founder of Islam and the founder of Judaism, and the followers of Moses and the followers of Hadhrat Muhammad. So far we have been talking of similarity between the two. Now coming to the similarity between Hadhrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad as Masih Maud to Hadhrat Masih Nasri, son of Mary, who was born in the Ummah of Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. What are the similarities? How can we say that he is reborn in spirit? So I am coming to that now. There is a long list of similarities. Number one, Musa brought a new Sharia. So also Hadhrat Muhammad Rasulullah. Hadhrat Isa did not bring a new Sharia. Not a single jot was changed by him from the Torah. When the Jews accused him of changing the teachings of the Torah, he said, no, I have not come to change a single jot of the book before me. I have come to realize it, to make it realized, to perfect it means, it has been translated as perfect, that I have come to fulfill the prophecies and enact the teachings to its perfection. You are not doing it. This is exactly what Masih Maud said. He said, I have not come to bring any new law. I have not come with the authority to change a jot of the Quran or a jot of the Sunnah. I have only come to perfect it. That is, the parts of the teachings which you have forgotten or distorted or started implementing wrongly against the wish of the Quran and the Sunnah, under guidance from Allah, I am going to rehabilitate those lost values to its original purity. That is one similarity, but I'll speak of others. Now, why did he come at all? If he was not to change the Quran, he was not to change the Sunnah, why did he come? The question is, why did Messiah come when he was not to change? The Holy Quran has answered. He said he had not come to change, but people who were accusing him of change, they had changed the meaning of the teachings. يُحَرِّفُونَ الْكَلِمَ عَنْ مَوَاضِعِهِ, interpolating, hiding things, showing things. So it was the ulama before Messiah who had changed. So a guided messenger had to come to rehabilitate the teaching and perfect it in its original form. This exactly is the purpose of this Messiah, and that is the second Mumasalat. And another Mumasalat or similarity is between the time, Mumasalat of age. You see, Hadhrat Isa ﷺ appeared 1300 years after Hadhrat Musa, on the head of the 14th century. So exactly 1300 years after Hadhrat Muhammad Rasulullah, Hadhrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad appeared as, peace be upon him, as the promised Messiah. And again, another very important Mumasalat. Hadhrat Moses had the prophecy with which he came, that is prophethood, established that Sharia in his lifetime. And the victory was rapid. So also Hadhrat Muhammad ﷺ completed his task of establishing the law which he brought under his supervision in his lifetime. He was not called back by God until he had performed this task. But not so with Jesus. He could not complete his mission during his own lifetime. And the victory was granted to him slowly, slowly, after a long sacrifice of generation after generation, until it took 100 years to emerge victorious among the people to whom it was addressed. So this exactly was to be the similarity between Hazrat Masih Maud Islam and the old Messiah. The Muslims sometimes say, why has he not become victorious up to now? 100 years have passed. I point out, if he had succeeded within 100 years, how could he be similar to Messiah? He and his people are yet to suffer at your hands. And we are ready for that. Last thing, the Messiah Muhammad is progressing far more rapidly than the Messiah of Hazrat Musa. After 100 years, of Christianity, earlier Christianity at the time of Jesus Christ, Christianity was found only hardly in 28 countries in small numbers. Ahmadiyya has spread into 140 countries of the world in large numbers. And it has made its position in the world. Where is the another country which doesn't know about Ahmadiyya, which has not heard of Ahmadiyya? Which country in the world has not heard of Ahmadiyya? So it is with the blessing of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that this Messiah is making much more rapid progress than the earlier Messiah. And that's all I have to say. After that we'll take leave.
Yes, so this is the similarity, Hadhrat.
I will take leave now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.